There we go. It's going live. Hello, hello. Welcome, everybody. How are you all doing today? This is Neil with PortalToAscension. Welcome to day 2 of this live stream, this broadcast. Just letting some people come in here, and I'm going to do, just like yesterday, I'm going to do a poem to start us out while I'm waiting for all of you guys to join in. Let me just mute this. Okay. So, hello, welcome everybody. Day 2 of the 3-day marathon on sound and vibrational awareness. Hope you're all doing beautifully today. As we wait for people to come in, I'm going to go ahead and do what I've been doing for a while now before presentations. Is I'm going to do a poem here just to set the energy for today. Yesterday was awesome. We went for 3 hours straight. And then today, probably going to take around 2 hours. Sometimes it goes a little over. But today we're talking about the science of the quantum world and sound and vibration. Talked a lot about ancient history and how the ancients had a great understanding of our vibratory nature. But today we're going to prove this through science, that we are frequency. Frequency can affect us. Also we're talking about Pythagoras one. He knew about vibration as well, just a little bit extra from yesterday. But truly going into the quantum world and breaking it down from, a linear perspective, but it's also way beyond linear. It's a secular perspective as well. So as everybody's coming in, I'm going to go ahead and do this poem here. And this poem is called Empower Thyself. So welcome to everybody. Make yourself comfortable in your seat as the intro poem begins. Empower thyself. The moment draws near. For years, we've been purging all fears, letting go of the old energies, making room for the new frequencies. I know we all feel these on some level. Higher multidimensional entities embracing our galactic families, emissaries of unconditional love, the one vibration that fits all creation like a glove. I know sometimes this incarnation, it can seem tough, with masons, illuminating manipulations, facing, tasting, wasting our life away. We must remember the lessons that we're here to play. We chose to be here today. Nothing external to your God's self, you pray. There's only one speck of light, experiencing itself in multiple forms within our sight, taking us to new heights. So go against the norm, no longer conform. When one transitions, there's no reason to mourn. Don't scorn, take out the thorn. The crystalline children are now being born. There is no devil waiting for you with horns. There's only love. The vibration showering us down densities straight from densities above. We must stand up and say enough and take our power back. With peace and understanding, there's no reason to attack and energize fear, as they are reflections of us. Time to trust our brothers and sisters. This all is a self-imposed test. You all got the job, so put your concerns to rest. Through the darkness, the light will firmly nest into the dimension that is next. The moment is now to resurrect the Christ consciousness. The moment is now to resurrect the Christ consciousness. The moment is now to resurrect the Christ consciousness. Hello, hello, beautiful people. How are you all today? We got Russia in the house. Welcome. Just letting more people join in before we officially begin today's broadcast. And whoever is joining in right now, let's go ahead and do this together. Let's just do a few breaths together if you're compelled to join in and synergize our energy for the awareness that we're going to be going deep into today, into the realm of sound and vibration. And by connecting through our breath, we can all create that harmony and that connection so we can be open to the awareness that is about to be shared. So I invite you all, whoever is tuning in right now, just to go ahead, just get comfortable. Get ready for this journey that we're about to take together. And close your eyes. Just breathe normally, in through the nose, out through the mouth. In through the nose, out through the mouth. deep breath in through the nose. And exhale and let it all out. Another deep breath in. And let it out. One more time together. Deep breath in. Hold it for a moment. And then let it go. All right. Let's get into this, everybody. Welcome to day 2 of the 3 days that I'm spending sharing a lot of information on sound and vibrational awareness. Yesterday, we went into a lot of information on ancient civilizations. If you weren't around yesterday and didn't get to check it out, the replay is available on YouTube. So do go ahead and tune into that. But today's information, we're taking now a different angle and different perspective when it comes to sound and vibration. It's all connected because everything is vibration, but we're going to be going through the avenue of science, quantum physics, and figuring out this from a linear perspective. Is this a reality? And what evidence do we have to show that we live in this quantum world, in this vibratory world, and frequencies and vibration are everywhere? Before we get started with the official presentation where we left off yesterday, which was with Pythagoras, I'm going to go ahead and play this video once again. I played this a few times yesterday. Right now, pinned in the live chat in the YouTube and also in the description is a link. If you want to submit your story and be a part of the sound and vibrational book that is going to be going off for publication on December 31st, basically it's one of my first books that I'm creating, and I'm creating the main chapter, the first chapter, which is going to have a lot of information that's not only what I'm sharing today, what I shared yesterday, some of what I'm going to share tomorrow, but it's also open for 25 people to submit their stories on experiences that they've had with sound and vibration, at least 800 words. There's a maximum amount of words. I forget the amount. You can check it out on the link. But if you're interested in sharing your experience with the world and being in this book as a published author, a part of this book, please do consider it. So let's go ahead and just start off with this video so that you can kind of get an idea of what exactly this project is. Hi, everybody. My name is Neil Gore, and I'm going to be the featured author in the upcoming book on sound. I'm extremely excited about this book. We're going to be dissecting and going deep into the realm and the vibration of the universe and the cosmos and all that is. And I want to know if you have a story that you want to share in regards to sound, in relation to sound. Did you have a mystical experience through vibration that assisted you in some sort of way? Did you ever visit an ancient site or a temple and experience sound and harmonics firsthand? So how has sound affected you? So this right here is an invitation for you to please do share your stories so that we can create this amazing book on sound, and not only create a fully encompassing book on what sound and vibration is, but go into what the experience is on the individual level. So there it is, guys. If you want to check out more, go ahead and click that link, bookmark it, contact me, do whatever you feel you need to do in order to get to the point where you want to share your sound, okay? All right, here we go. We got people in the room. So let me greet you while you're here. We have Falcon, welcome Falcon. We have Lindy Lou in the house. We have Annalise from Austin. Angela, hello from Massachusetts. And it's time to, oh, Rockers, I just did a rhyme, Rockers, but I think I'll do another one because you just said, let's do it. So let me start out with a little spoken word here, and then we're gonna get right into some awesome information, okay? So I think I'll just start out with just a meditative one, just to set the energy. Meditate and levitate. Waves of frequencies resonate higher. I'm connected to the provider, source of cosmic energy. We're going to be one single entity, expansion remedied, oneness must breathe, exhale and let free, consciousness to be, experiences of you and me, souls of interdimensional beings to feel, hear, and see this third dimensional planetary existence. All time can be found in one instant, in this realm of linearity, atoms in anarchy, quantum polarity, the epitome of creation. facing our egos, acquiring patience, waiting to let go of our nations and join the federation of souls that will take us to the fifth world. And join the federation of souls that will take us to the fifth world. All right, everybody, are you ready? Strap on your seatbelts. We're going to get right into this. So please do share your comments, engage in the chat room. Let's keep the energy high for today. And as we go through some amazing information that really just adds pieces to the jigsaw puzzle of life, of humanity together. And that's pretty much what we're doing over these 3 days. And what we do really at Portal to Ascension is really tracking back our history, finding out commonalities and roots, and discovering and exploring the depths of who we are as a human species. Yesterday, we spoke about Pythagoras briefly, and I told you that we're going to get back into speaking about Pythagoras today and talk about the music of the spheres, because I wanted to get into some of the frequency information. And so before we get into like the quantum world, quantum mechanics and all that, we're going to talk about Pythagoras a little bit. Just also, if you guys have any comments or questions, please do leave your comments and questions in the chat on YouTube. And as I am going through this, when I end a segment, I'll come check the chat room and we can engage. I like to make things very entertaining and interactive. So let's be interactive with this whole experience here and really just grow together, okay? So let's get into Pythagoras. I shared this slide yesterday, and I'll do it again just to preface what I'm going to say about him, what I'm going to share. Pythagoras considered that music contribute greatly to health. He called his method musical medicine. To the accompaniment of Pythagoras, his followers would sing in unison certain chants. At other times, his disciples employed music as medicine, with certain melodies composed to cure the passions of the psyche, like anger and aggression. And then also we know him as the founder of geometry. A lot of amazing revolutionaries that have assisted us in creating civilization and society, let's say, as it is now, seem to be very connected or metaphysical in nature, or have a curiosity that really transcended linear space and time. And Pythagoras was one of them. He wanted to know the frequency of God, not who was God, what the frequency was. So through that exploration, he rediscovered or founded the Western music scale, just from the wanting to know about that. Geometry was a product of what he discovered by when he was looking at frequencies. When he would play certain frequencies and get sand plate demonstrations, which we'll get into a little bit later, beautiful geometries will come out of it. And those geometries were perfect geometries in order to create structures and also decipher the way the universe is created, the way the Milky Way is formed, you know? And so it's very interesting that a lot of these people were spiritually connected. I mean, look at Nikola Tesla. A lot of the awareness that he shared in the beginning that was hijacked was definitely connected to something beyond just this terrestrial sphere. And nowadays we're using a watered down version of what he actually had, let's just say, rediscovered, because who really is the founder of all this information? You know, we've gone through cycles of time, as we shared yesterday. And through those cycles of time, we probably remembered and forgot this so many times. So these people that rediscovered this information are just the next people to get the download as we awaken to this. A lot of times in history, when some major advancements occurred, right? A lot of times in ancient history, when major advancements occurred, there are actually multiple people on the planet that almost have the same download at the same time. So what does that mean? Maybe there is this energetic frequency, maybe because we're going from one age to another, this information is there. Maybe there's an extraterrestrial message being sent to us and we pick it up. It's in the field, it's in the Akashic field, it's in the energy and electromagnetic aura of the planet. And then people pick up these ones and whoever basically runs with it first gets credited for it. But there's been a lot of evidence to suggest that multiple people get the same information at the same time. And there's a few documented cases where it was almost a race to get this information out. So I shared this video yesterday, and I'm not going to share it again. Go ahead and check yesterday if you want. But this is basically Terrence Howard talking about why he's going to be quitting acting in order to basically open up Pythagoras's awareness in a way that has never been done before, because he's figured out how to open up wave conjugations, a bunch of geometry jargon and wave frequency jargon that these people at the Emmys completely were like, what is he talking about? But what this really proves here is that the elite and these, and people that are in the know as well, they actually worship Pythagoras because of the information he shared. The stonemasons, sacred geometry, how to create society and civilizations, dates back to Egypt, dates back even further than that. The secret was how to build civilization, right? And Pythagoras was definitely connected to that evolution, whether he was the first one, whether he was just one of the major pieces in this whole entire, evolution that we have experienced since then, who knows? But he definitely was, connected to it all. And just a little side note here, and I'll share this. I am going to be doing a presentation on Pythagoras. I'll show you real quick. And this is going to be around a 2-hour presentation, might go a little longer. And this is on December 19th, 2-hour presentation on the truth, life, and times of Pythagoras. So if any of you are interested in signing up for this, I'll just read what it's going to be talking about. Join myself, Neil Gore, for an in-depth exploration on the life of Pythagoras. We will explore the mysticism behind his teachings, what he knew and discovered about sound frequency, as well as his initiation into Egyptian mystery schools. Who really was this person and the culture of the years that he lived in? Okay, a little side note here. We say Plato was Greek. We say Aristotle and Socrates were Greek. We say Pythagoras was Greek. Well, do you know that Greece was not an actual in its own empire until Alexander the Great's father? All the time before that, even the Trojan War, these were all city-states. They were all individuals. So saying Plato was from Greece is the completely not the right information at all, especially even with Pythagoras. He was from a city-state. A lot of them had little different variations in culture. Some of them had different types of languages. There was a common thread through all of it, right? However, there were their own individual countries, if you will, and a lot of times warring with each other. So we're going to be talking about the culture of where he was raised and where he grew up, and then where he moved, because he actually moved to another city-state later in life. And then he went to ancient Egypt and was initiated into a bunch of mystery schools. So look forward to that presentation coming at you pretty soon. So Pythagoras, he theorized that all things have a frequency and even planets have their own vibration. He called the sound each celestial body in our solar system collectively made. He called it the music of the spheres. And now in this modern day, we have technology to go out into space and actually pick up on these frequencies. Some of these frequencies are inaudible that we've been able to make audible. And then some of these frequencies are audible anyway. If you go out to space and you're able to listen and not be in some spacesuit, but actually could be out there and listen to the sounds and vibrations, space wouldn't be dead quiet. There are actually frequencies, signals, some of which that we can pick up with our own human ear. So the next few slides I'm going to show you here are, this one I'm not going to show you because I think YouTube has a copyright on this. So I'm not going to show it to you, but you can check it out later. The next two I will show you right now. But this one is the sound of the moon. Just type in sound of the moon, frequency of the moon, right? And this is from The Guardian. It was aired on mainstream, but it shows you the sound, the frequency that the moon actually has when we sent satellites up there, it picked up on the sounds. But this one I'll get into right here. We're going to go ahead and listen to the sound of Jupiter. And how I'm going to do this is that just like yesterday, it was kind of like a workshop, right? We did vocal chanting, we did chakra chanting, we hummed a bit, and there was a lot of information as well. So today, the meditative experiential component will be these sounds that I'm going to play. So for Jupiter, I'm going to play 1.5 minutes. And then the next one is Saturn. I'll play 1.5 minutes of that one too. So that's Jupiter right there. How beautiful, huh? So you go out into space. Well, what I'm trying to say here is Pythagoras was right. He theorized that all celestial bodies had their own vibratory frequency. Now we have evolved to a state where we can send out satellites and we can actually translate those frequencies into audio. And then some of them are just pure audio anyway that are within the human hearing. Some of them aren't, and we have to convert it to that. So here is the sounds of Saturn. This one's, as it's called here, eerie sounds of Saturn. And let me just say this, Saturn is very interesting because there's a lot of different frequencies. The belt of Saturn, Saturn's belt, actually has, the ring of Saturn's actually have different frequencies on the different rings that they're emanating. And then Saturn itself also has its own frequency. All right, so that's it for Saturn right there. So as I said, Pythagoras was onto something. And the reason why he had all this information, definitely he was experimenting with sound and frequency tools that assisted him and his university and students to get to a level of consciousness to download it. But he was also initiated into multiple mystery schools, at least 10 mystery schools in Egypt, which I'll show in my Pythagoras presentation. And those mystery schools had some very advanced awareness that dated back from Atlantis and even beyond that he was allowed to have. A lot of other people in Egypt, commoners, weren't even allowed permission to enter the mystery schools. So when he got to Egypt and he was given permission, it was a very unique thing. The Egyptians, though, throughout history, we see them welcoming in foreigners as people that are connected to them, rather than saying that this is exclusive information for ourselves. They've had prophecies in the past that people will come and be their saviors. For example, even Alexander the Great was welcomed as a savior and a reincarnation of an ancient prophet when he went into Egypt to take control of it. So this ties us into sacred geometry. Sacred geometry is the visual component of the frequency of sound, okay? Pythagoras being the rediscoverer, let's say, because I don't like saying founder because we really truly don't know. And this is a universal concept that exists beyond one individual person. So when he was experimenting with sound and frequencies, the consequence of that was the science that became a linear science of geometry. But he was originally exploring sacred geometry and how these geometrical shapes really are what creates not only dimensions, but physical universes, planets, galaxies, and so on. So what is sacred geometry? They're geometrical shapes that are formed from equations that are the same equations of how the universe is created and black holes are formed and so much more. They're shapes that take on the design element of harmonic frequencies. Geometrical shapes that represent each dimension of existence. So there are geometrical shapes for the fifth dimension, sixth dimension. And you can look more into that online. A lot of people have done whole entire presentations on that. But the actual geometrical shape of this dimension is the flower of life, which is why we see it in so many ancient cultures. Ancient artwork used to expand and awaken the collective consciousness, utilized in all ancient civilizations, spiritual scriptures. You go back into ancient past, you see similar geometrical shapes across the board. For example, let's look at the Star of David. You see the Star of David and native tribes all throughout the Americas. You see that for a deity for Lakshmi in ancient India. So there is a lot of commonality when it comes to these shapes. And they had these shapes are basically artistic representations of some very advanced science, which we're going to be getting into in a few moments here. Just to show you some of these geometrical shapes and the complexity of them, here are just a few right here. And as I said, visual representations of sound frequency, because we have, okay, some people say we have more than 5 senses. We definitely do, right? And maybe we can tap in at least 6 here, right? Like the 6th sense. But each of the senses have a corresponding value for similar frequencies. You can hear a frequency, you can see a frequency, you can smell a frequency, you can eat a frequency. Actually, everything is frequency. So everything you hear, everything you see, everything you feel, everything you eat is a frequency that's taken on that form in order to react to that sense. So the geometry is the visual representation of the frequency, which is why people put it under their beds, put it on the walls, put it on their clothes. The whole aspect of this is when you look at these frequencies, these in visual form, they open and activate your consciousness. Now, here is the sand plate demonstration. I don't think it's going to play. Okay. A lot of people have seen this because this has been, played and shared for a long time. But the sand plate sound and geometry, if you look up on YouTube, look up sand plate geometry, and basically it's a plate with sand on it that they have a frequency machine underneath it that vibrates the plate. And depending on what frequency it goes to, the plate turns into different beautiful geometrical shapes. And that right there is really the evidence that shows you that the frequencies actually have a corresponding geometrical shape. And just like the quote I shared in the beginning of yesterday, that it seems that humans, plants, animals, mushrooms, everything is frequency that's taken on a visible form. So we are the visual component of the sound frequency. Here's some of the platonic solids. Now, this is very interesting because let's show you. Okay, this is the first one right here. As you can see, this is the basis of the flower of life, right? We have the circle, we have the Vesica Pisces, we have the fruit of life, we have the seed of life, and then we have the flower of life, which is actually not only a geometrical representation of our dimension, but is also a representation, an artistic representation of how all physical life is created on the planet, mitosis. And you can see here in detail how mitosis looks. So the ancients, either they had a great awareness or they were passed down some great awareness that they put through art. But how incredible is it that this geometrical shape that we see throughout all of ancient cultures is an artistic representation of how life is even formed, but also beyond that, how galaxies and nebula are created, as this graphic shows right here. And we see these geometries throughout all of nature because everything is frequency that is taken on visual form. Even the hurricanes, the shape of the Fibonacci. The source frequency right here in the sunflower, the Milky Way galaxy, the shell, the way the in the womb. Another type of galaxy here, because there are multiple types of galaxy formations, not just the spiral galaxy that we're in. And then, of course, crop circles. A lot of crop circles come manifest in shapes of different geometries. This is my second favorite quote. I told you yesterday my first favorite quote. This is equally my first favorite quote. The one from yesterday was from the Laguna Pueblo native tribe in the Americas. But this one right here really shows you what Pythagoras was talking about, what the science is. And it's a great quote to really begin what we're doing today, which is going deeper into the science of it all. And this is from Candace Pert, right? And she's basically explaining what happens to our body and our cells when sound penetrates into it. So if you wanted to know, no, it's beyond what I'm about to say, but if you wanted to know how sound and vibration actually integrates into your body, this is how it happens. Every cell pulsates, reflects and interacts with acoustic oscillations of the medium. Even the earth and the sun vibrate in unison based on a main rhythm of 160 minutes. Each musical note is therefore united to non-audible notes of higher octaves, and each symphony to other symphonies that we do not hear. And although they make our cells oscillate and possibly resonate, even DNA has its own melody. Even DNA has its own melody. The musical nature of nuclear matter from atoms to galaxies is now recognized by official science. The musical nature of nuclear matter from atoms to galaxy is now recognized by official science. Excuse me, I'm going to say a few things twice here that I really want to drill home. Basically, receptors function as scanners, sensing molecules on a cellular level. Receptors, okay, so the receptors in your body, the cells, function as scanners. They sense molecules on a cellular level. They cluster in cellular membranes, waiting for the right ligand, much smaller molecules than receptors, to come dancing along. The ligand is the frequency, the vibration, diffusing through the fluid surrounding each cell. Okay, so let's break that part down. The sound penetrates the body. It goes through the fluid, diffusing through the fluid around the cell, right? Surrounding the cell. And then it mounts the cell, binding with it, and then tickling it. The frequency basically tickles, for lack of a better explanation. That's what she's using, right? Tickling them to turn them on and get them motivated to vibrate a message into the cell. Okay, so let's say that again. Sound frequency goes into the body, goes into the fluid surrounding the cell, surrounds the cell, tickles the cell, and then the cell opens up, and then the message, which is the frequency, root chakra, crown chakra frequency, cancer healing frequency, whatever it is, goes into the cell and leaves its message. The binding of the ligand to the receptor is likened to two voices striking the same note and producing a vibration that rings the doorbell to open the doorway to the cell. So the binding of the cell and the sound frequency is likened to two voices that are striking the same note. So it surrounds it until the cell matches the vibration of the frequency that's there. When the vibration of the frequency and the cell match, the cell opens up, and now the healing takes place. And that's pretty much what happens on the scientific level in your body when you're going to a sound healing event. All right, so now I'm going to go a little forward here because I did all this yesterday on the Ankh and everything, and we're going to go right into the quantum physics, everyone. Here we go. But let me just take a moment here, take a look at the chat, see who else has joined us, how everybody's doing. Rockers asked, that's good. Are crop circles extraterrestrial graffiti? That's freaking awesome. Okay, so welcome to anybody else who's joining us here, and everything looks good in the chat room. So let's get back to this. All right, everything we just did was just a precursor for what we're about to do. Let's get into it. Quantum physics and metaphysics connection. Before we really talk about quantum physics, let me start with this disclaimer first. When you use the word quantum physics, a lot of people think of the mainstream industry now that is quantum physics, right? The study of quantum physics, going to school for quantum physics. When I use quantum physics, all I mean is the exploration of the subatomic world through science. The exploration of the subatomic world through science. Because just like many of the major sciences, they've been hijacked. So the quantum physics, even though quantum physics, the industry of it, is definitely looking and discovering a lot of amazing things that I'm going to show you, there's also an agenda behind a lot of it in which it's not allowing them to get to the next level, what this really means for us all, okay, which we're going to talk about as well. So when I say quantum physics, I'm talking about the exploration of the subatomic world through science. Quantum mechanics, also known as quantum physics or quantum theory, is a fundamental branch of physics that deals with attempting to define and understand the subatomic world, everything below an atom. Everything above an atom is Newtonian physics. Everything below an atom is subatomic physics, quantum physics. Major contributions being from Max Planck's 1900s proposal that energy is made up of smaller units called quanta. And then what is metaphysics? Metaphysics is a branch of philosophy that deals with the first principles of things, including abstract concepts such as being, knowing, substance, cause, identity, time, vibration, and space. The origin of the word meta, meaning beyond, refers to the title given by a compilation of Aristotle's works on the subject. because they follow Aristotle's physics, the word took on the name metaphysics. So metaphysics literally means beyond physics. How are these two connected? What I'm realizing with our understanding of the quantum world now, we're able to prove scientifically spiritual traditions from ancient times that a lot of ancient scriptures had spoke about that didn't make sense because we're living in such a linear world. But now we are bridging the scientific world with the spiritual world through the understanding of the quantum world that we are within. Quantum physics and metaphysics to me are one and the same. Both disciplines are based on the premise of vibration and frequency. Meditation and metaphysical practices are designed to harmonize and not increase your vibration. I don't like to use that word because it's not about raising your vibration. It's about harmonizing your vibration. There are vibrations that are lower frequencies than others that are more harmonic than higher frequencies. Those that have obtained enlightenment have in essence shifted their vibratory frequency that we measure on earth in hertz. And this is the hertz part again. Hertz means how many times does it vibrate per second? 100 hertz, 100 times per second. Meta is that it is the basis for all ensuing philosophy. Quantum, however, is a way of attempting to scientifically understand the meta universe. This is a graph I made like 10 to 11 years ago here. And there are two terms. Okay, so as I said just a few moments ago, that to me, metaphysics and quantum physics are interchangeable in many ways. And metaphysics is metaphorical quantum physics. The quantum physics has the scientific words that we've given it, the linear words that we've given it. Metaphysics has a metaphor to explain it, just like some of the creation stories I went over yesterday. So let's go through this graph. In metaphysics, we have oneness. In quantum physics, we have singularity. Same thing. Metaphysics, consciousness. Quantum term, quantum field. The quantum field is the consciousness. In metaphysics, you have aura. In quantum physics, you have the electromagnetic field. Humans are made out of subatomic particles. Those subatomic particles vibrate. Those subatomic particles that vibrate creates an electromagnetic field around us. That field is our aura. Quantum term, wave. Metaphysics, vibration. Frequency, vibration. Quantum physics, dimension. Metaphysics, realm. Also, we use the word dimension now. And then we have energy. Energy in both worlds means the same things, use the same word. And in quantum world and metaphysics, we also have the paradox that I love speaking about. Check out my galactic origins presentation where I do a whole 20 minutes on the universal paradox there. That's also on YouTube from like a year ago. And just to show you here, look, here's the human aura, right? So how does your aura, is there any science behind the aura? Well, there definitely is. The aura exists. We can actually, well, now they have machines and photography that you can actually see what the aura is, but we can also prove this scientifically. And the reason why is everything that vibrates has its own electromagnetic field. You can call that electromagnetic field aura. If that vibration of that individual person thing is off or disharmonic in a way, it affects your electromagnetic field. So that's what happens with our aura. How people say our aura is expanding, it's decreasing, weak aura, holes in the aura. That all has to do with how your body is and your consciousness and your emotional state, I would say, is in regards to what frequency you're emanating. And then the earth is also a conscious being. And it has an electromagnetic field, which is the aura. It has its own aura that is protecting us from harmful radiation waves coming from all out space, including rays that are coming from the sun that would have a detrimental effect on our conscious, on our ability to live on this planet if it wasn't for the aura of the earth. Just like our own aura is our own protection device as well. And here is a video here that shows you that we're talking about frequency, right? So not only are we talking about that fact that aura is from our subatomic vibrations and frequencies, but even the aura seems to have its own rhythm. So here is a video that actually shows the rhythm of Earth and how the rhythm of the electromagnetic field of Earth actually seems to vibrate like a drum. we can quantify the sound of these rays hitting our aura of our planet. The human aura and the electromagnetic field. Scientific research has now found that the aura is an electromagnetic field of energy that extends around all our body for about 4 to 5 feet, in average, a healthy body, and appears to be depleted in cases of an unhealthy person. This aura represents your physical, mental, emotional, as well as spiritual energies. All of these aspects combine to create your frequency. All connects all subtle bodies and acts like a shield, protecting the human vessel and absorbing specific energies. And when we share auric space with people, our data is in our auric field. That's how people can pick up on energy, psychic energy, and telepathy, and somebody that you're around knows what you're thinking, completes your sentence. The aura and how harmonized it is and how in sync you are with others can really have that effect. And I feel our aura is going to be a contributing factor to when we eventually go back to a telepathic state on Earth. So could the Earth's electromagnetic field represent the physical, mental, and emotional well-being of our planet? So if that is the case for humans, does that mean that the Earth's electromagnetic field is the physical, mental, and emotional well-being of the planet? I think so. Physics and spirituality. Science and religion are separate and are at odds with each other, right? They have been for so long, right? Sciences in today's world are based on Newtonian physics, but Newtonian physics does not synchronize with quantum physics, and technically both disciplines should not coexist. So it's actually said that the whole thing with why quantum theory is still quantum theory and it's confusing so many mainstream scientists and beyond is that quantum physics, the science of the quantum world, does not synchronize with the science of the Newtonian world. The Newtonian world science basically proves that nothing should exist except for the physical world, but quantum world basically proves that nothing should be physical. A paradox, like I spoke about earlier. It's a paradox. Newtonian physics is paradoxical to quantum physics. However, we know that the quantum world is what creates the building blocks for the Newtonian world, right? And I'm only using Newtonian world because that's what's commonly used, right? It's really, he was just a rediscoverer of information. So that is wherein lies the illusion in my book. The fact that we can realize now that we're all made of subatomic particles, but the subatomic particle science doesn't sync up with the fact that we're physical beings. Subatomic world says that we should not exist. It's almost like a very advanced computer program, and this is where the holographic universe understanding really comes from. If we're all vibratory frequencies and everything is just vibration, and there really only is one vibration experiencing itself infinitely, where does all this physical world come from? Well, think about a computer program in a game. If there's only ones and zeros and a bunch of coding there, where does that physical world come from that you're viewing on the screen? This is an illusion, but also not, because it's a physical world for ourselves too. The only thing that exists are frequencies, and our perception is the dream or a very advanced virtual reality program. Not saying that it's inorganic, but it seems to be holographic in some aspect. So the very act of watching, right? So I said illusion. One of the studies that we're going to get into here kind of shows that the very act of watching the observer affects the observed reality. Researchers at the Weizmann Institute of Science have conducted an experiment demonstrating how a beam of electrons is affected by the act of being observed. The experiment revealed that greater the amount of watching, the greater the observer's influence on what actually takes place. A position of a particle at the quantum state cannot be determined unless a measurement observation of its position is made. Again, the very act of watching, the observer affects the observed reality. So this goes to, if a tree falls in the wood, do we hear it? Well, in the Newtonian world, if a tree falls in the woods, does it still make a sound? Well, in the Newtonian world, yes. But in the quantum world, which everything is made of, no. If that tree was a subatomic particle, because the whole aspect is that when you look at something, even if it's physically manifested as atoms or above, that when we actually observe it, it acts differently than when we are not looking at it. So our intention and our focus has a direct effect on the outcome and the experience. And that's what they're seeing in the laboratory with these subatomic particles. What is happening here is we're piercing through the veil. We're realizing that this world has some sort of illusionary component to it. Now, here is the study here of the double slit experiment, in which they had this intentional observation that had a different effect. And at one point, the subatomic particle acted as a particle and also a photon at the exact same moment, appearing in two places at the same time, aka bilocation. So we've able to actually do bilocation now on the subatomic level. And just last year, we were able to do a bilocation of something existing in two places at once for something above an atom, a particle. So this is the beginning of teleportation technology. And I'm saying that very loosely because I would have to explain that in much detail to mean what I'm saying about that and what the possibilities are from this science that we're now discovering. So illusion, huh? When being observed, the electrons would bounce off the barrier when they're observed. When not observed, the electrons would act as waves and make it through the barrier. Oh, wait a second. When we looked at it, it became a particle and it bounced off the barrier. But when we weren't looking at it, it remained a frequency and the frequency passed through it. So is everything just a frequency until it's observed? When not observed, the electron would exist in two locations simultaneously. And here is another picture of the double slit experiment. Particles in absence of measurement or observation. And just to show a little bit more on this, fundamental constitutions of matter, electrons and protons, etc., can have two distinct states of existence, particle and waveform. Particle upon observation, wave upon not observing it. The particle representation of matter gives the impression of something existing at a particular point in space and time. The wave representation asserts an uncertainty of location until the entity is observed. And as I said earlier, if a tree falls in the forest, does it make a sound? Well, if it's a subatomic particle, it doesn't. And everything is made out of subatomic particles. So that's just there. I'm not giving you an answer here. I'm just giving you food for thought. What is this place that we live within? What is this dimension? How are we manifested here? Is this a paradox? Is it 100% an illusion and a holographic, but at the same time, is 100% real and physical? How is that possible? How can our minds wrap itself around the concept of a paradox? The paradox makes us confused. The limited abilities that we have right now within our brain capacity doesn't allow us to realize a paradox can exist. A paradox shouldn't exist, but we're now being able to prove it through science that it's the case. Does the world we live in really exist when we aren't looking? Or is it all just frequencies? I would say both. But here's the question. Why does this matter? Quantum world, quantum mechanics, is the bridge that is needed now to bring the sciences and spiritual traditions worldwide together. We're going through a phase right now where science isn't so disconnected from our spirit. Science is not proving the spirit. Just look at the science and the evidence of reincarnation, the science and the evidence of near-death experiences. I did 2 near-death experiences conferences, 4 days each, last year and this year, with over 100 speakers. I teamed up with IAN's organization to produce it for them. The science and the evidence of near-death experiences is so much that even CBS just did a news thing on it a few months ago on a mainstream doctor talking about how consciousness continues after death and people come back with memories of what happened when they were completely out, right? So science is now catching up to the spiritual traditions. Is the science where all religion was derived, quantum world? Metaphysics. Metaphysics is the primordial nature of all things, how things were created, how sound and vibration was the beginning of it all. Well, metaphysics is quantum physics, but the ancient wisdom of it. We all have heard, probably growing up, that the universal language is math. If we were going to talk to an extraterrestrial race, we use mathematics because that's the universal language. Well, the mathematical intervals are actually the same as musical intervals. Here we go with frequency and sound. The universal language is music, sound, and frequency. The universal language is music. Here's an equation I came up with. So there's two ways to look at things, right? Left brain, right brain, linear, and analytical, creative, and secular, masculine, feminine, right? People look at it multiple different ways. Let's say the analytical linear way of looking at this awareness is mathematics, right? The creative, the more creative, secular way of looking at it all is music. They're the same thing, just a different mindset, different part of the brain operating. One's not better than the other. Both of them go hand in hand. So here's an equation that I came up with. The universal language is the quantum world, let's say, right? Which equals the mathematics of the vibration. The language is quantum subatomic world because all subatomic particles is what creates the physical world. So the mathematics of vibration is the universal language. The mathematics of vibration is music, frequency, sound. Taking a little left turn here and going into talking about the brain, DMT, plant medicines, and frequency, and how this connects to science of what we're talking here, sound and vibration. It has been pretty much, in my mind, in my book, proven that we are not using the full potential of our brains. You may have heard in school that we use 10% of our brain. That's not really fair to say because we use more than that. It actually goes up to around 20%. And it's not like we use a little part of our brain. We're using all parts of our brains, but they're firing at different times, right? We have left brain thinking, we have frontal lobe, we have subconscious mind, we have right brain. So we're using our brain, but it seems to not be functioning at its full potential, that our brains have a lot more abilities within them, just like our bodies do. Our brains excrete something called DMT. We actually excrete it naturally. And you may have heard of DMT. People do DMT journeys. Well, every animal, except for one animal in the world, doesn't excrete DMT naturally. And I want to take a pause here and let's get some interaction. What animal, right? What animal is it that does not excrete DMT? Let's see if we can have some people have some guesses here in YouTube. I'm going to take a look at the chat. All right, just waiting for some of you to let me know right here because there's a little delay on this. So I'm waiting to see. Tell me, what animal do you think does not excrete DMT? And then I'll give it to you. Ooh, close, Mr. Fung. You're in the right, let's say ballpark. My girlfriend, that's funny. Oh, I'll give you an example. Okay, it's a reptile. Let me just say that. It's a reptile. Iguana, no. Octopus, no. Nope. All right. I'm gonna. Oh, Mr. Fung, he nailed it. The snake does not produce DMT. Isn't that really interesting? All right, back to the presentation here. So how amazingly interesting is it that the snake doesn't produce DMT, and the snake is literally, the serpent being of the snake is literally throughout all ancient scriptures. In a lot of Eastern philosophy, the snake is considered sacred. The kundalini energy of the snake, the serpents behind Vishnu, right? In the Western world, we see that the snake was demonized, right? I'm not going to get into the fact that the snake was never a demon in the first place and it was scapegoated, right? I'm not going to get into that at all, even though I really kind of feel like I want to, but that's going to get into religion. I don't want to offend anybody. So let's say that the snake was already enlightened. It doesn't have a pineal gland. The snake does not need to have it because it's the serpentine kundalini energy that we all have within us that is already awakened. So let's get back to this presentation now. All right. So our brains excrete DMT naturally. The first 3 years of your life, there's a lot of DMT in your brain because your brain is being formed. You are actually, if you ever look at a baby's eyes, a child's eyes, right? They're dilated quite a lot from age 0 to like 3. And it's literally because they're on this journey that they just had coming into this life. Some people remember thoughts before age 3, but full thoughts for most people are after age 3, because pretty much you're on a journey of DMT up until after 3, and then your brain starts settling in, and then you start remembering things even, more prominently. So the first 3 years of life is available there, and then when you sleep, your DMT level comes out, is increased, and when you die. Okay, so the two major times in our life that we have natural DMT come out from the pineal and the pituitary gland, third eye, crown chakra, right? Seeing how it's all connected here, is when we are come into the world. So imagine it, if you've ever done DMT or had ayahuasca, you're pretty much having a birth or a death-like experience. You're being reborn even, okay? So you are being born into this world and you come from this other dimension, and the DMT is keeping you there. You have it, the thoughts are there with you. You can integrate it in the first 3 years of life. When you die, DMT goes throughout your whole brain, and you die and have a journey into your next, whatever, incarnation, extraterrestrial life, whatever you're going to be, angelic realm. If you believe all time doesn't exist, you just rejoin everything else that you've always been, right? So the DMT takes you to the next world. And now this goes with, when you do DMT or do any plant medicines that help increase the DMT level in your brain, in your whole body, really, when you're doing that, you have a birth-like or a death-like experience. When you have a hellish experience, when people have bad experiences, that's normally because they have a lot of inner demons that they need to work out, right? When you have a heavenly experience, you've worked out a lot of things, and now you're seeing the light, right? I'm giving blanket statements here, but I'm generalizing for the sake of this presentation, okay? So when you go and have these experiences, imagine when you're dying, you have an influx of DMT, and wherever level of consciousness you're at is literally what you manifest in your afterlife or next incarnation. So this goes into the Buddhist philosophy now, that whatever level of consciousness you're at, you could have had a crazy, messed up life where you were doing so many bad things, but you completely came to terms with it, forgave yourself, forgave everybody, led a life where you felt liberated of things you've done. But the DMT in your brain, when it comes into your brain, and your life review will literally be whatever level of consciousness you are at that time that you're dying. So you literally have the opportunity for full liberation up until your last moment. And this goes into, you create a personal hell, you create your own heaven. Signs of increased DMT levels in people are dilated pupils, extreme joy sometimes, increased dopamine levels, bliss, cosmic understanding, higher perspective, psychedelic visuals, right? When I've done DMT, I see sacred geometry. I actually see snowflakes when I do DMT. One time, a snowflake manifested itself on the roof, and it was like a wormhole, a portal that I couldn't get into. Sacred geometry symbols and usage of dormant parts of the brain, circling back now to what I was talking about in the beginning of this slide. We use a limited amount of our mental ability. When the DMT level is increased, synaptic connectors are fired, rewired, decalcified, parts of our brains that are dormant starts activating, and we start seeing the world from a whole different perspective. The way that we see the world right now, the physical world, is real because of the way our brains are created and the amount that we utilize it, and our whole bodies really, that we're able to perceive it from that level of consciousness. When you do plant medicines, or if you do DMT, or if you just ascend, or if you meditate, you know, a lot of different things can do it. It's not just substances or plant medicines. You are able to shift the frequency and activate parts of your brain, your DNA, your chakra system that can allow you to get to a place where you're able to perceive the world from more of a reality of what it really is, right? When you have that full activation. And here's a slide again that I showed last time, just to show the parts of the body and the chakra system. And we're talking about these parts right here, the pineal gland and the pituitary gland, that go hand in hand. All psychedelic drugs, put that in quote there because I don't like that term, but that's what it's been called. So let's just say all psychedelics. And I'm saying drugs because I'm not just talking about plant medicine. I'm also talking about LSD, Molly, you know, other types of psychedelics as well that are synthetically created. They induce DMT excretion on some level. They affect our pituitaries and pineal glands that is stored and released into the pineal gland and pituitary, third eye, and crown chakra. Different things that people have experienced from this is inner sight, inner knowing, spiritual connection. And some examples of psychedelics would be mushrooms, peyote, San Pedro, ayahuasca, acid, MDMA. I'm going to be doing a free presentation on December 21st on this same channel that you're on right now. So a little plug real quick. If you're tuning in and you aren't subscribed, go ahead and subscribe. That on December 21st, I'm going to do a whole 2-hour presentation called The Pagan Roots of Christmas. And about 1 hour of that is about how Christmas is connected to magic mushrooms. And that's going to be very interesting. It's one of my favorite presentations to do. Showing you this again, the cross intersection of the brain and how the Egyptians knew about it. And they created the Eye of Horus, which is the same exact cross intersection of the pituitary gland and the pineal gland, as you can see right here. All right, the other question, because why are we doing this in the first place? And after this slide, I'm going to take a pause and show you again to submit your articles for the book I'm creating, because I really want some of you to submit it. If you've submitted your article, let me know, because I want to know who's actually interacting. But the reason why I'm into all this is because when I first started doing all these events and getting awoken in 2001, I started doing sound healing events in 2008, 9, and 10. I went on 4 international tours. I'm calling them international because it was US and Canada, so technically it's international. And did a lot of, like, hundreds of sound healing events. As I was doing that, I was also understanding the ancient civilizations and their connection to the understanding of the quantum world. And so when I do sound healing gatherings with Tibetan bowls, didgeridoos, tuning forks, I really like to start out by incorporating some scientific awareness and ancient history awareness. Because what happens is a lot of people aren't open to this awareness unless the linear mind really is appeased. And the way to appease the linear mind is to prove to them not only that these ancient structures has some sort of advanced awareness of sound, these ancient civilizations, but also that we're able to prove this now through quantum world, just like the double slit experiment that I showed you. So how does this all connect to sound healing? Sound healing, right? And I'm going to give a disclaimer on the word healing. I don't really use the word healing. So because I feel that what really happens is the sound and intention really is the thing that does the work, and the vibration and your intention when you're doing any healing work, right? And the word healing also symbolizes lack, right? That you are not out of alignment. And I feel the best way to be in alignment is to own that you are. And really, if you aren't open to this awareness, the vibration is not going to have that same effect on you. Half of it, like let's just say 50% of it, is the vibration, whether you're doing Reiki healing on someone, whether you're playing sound tools. The other 50% of it is how open you are to the fact that this is a reality. And if you're closed off to it, guess what? It will have little to no effect on you. So sound and vibration events aligns the chakra, centers and creates deep states of meditation in which DMT is released in the brain. another way DMT is actually cultivated. And dormant areas of your brain, DNA and consciousness, can be activated. Incredible similarities between enlightenment, awakening experiences, and the experiences induced when taking plant medicine. So a lot of people have similar experiences from sound events, from binaural beats on YouTube, and other forms of frequency technology, sound beds, right, than they do when they're actually on plant medicine. And I'm one of them. And if you're one of them, you should submit your story to the article on your experience with that. Sacred geometry is sound vibration taking on physical form, vibrations and visions. All right, so let's get to just this little side note here, taking a little break. Please do leave your comments and questions right now. After I show you this, I'm going to go ahead and read the chat and see how you all feeling, and if you have any comments here. So the reason why I'm doing 3 days, 3 hours yesterday, 2.5 hours today, 30 minutes tomorrow, is because I am actually creating 1 out of 4. I'm creating 4 books this year. 3 books I'm featured in. One's on ancient history, one's on star seeds, and the other one's a fictional book about a hypnosis session that I had, that I wrote out my story. But this one is not me writing in somebody else's book. This is my own book that I'm working with Sacred Stories to create. You can see here all the projects that they're working on right now. I'm also going to be in William Henry's book, but all the way here to the right-hand side, little old me, Neil Gore, sound book. And the way it's going to work is that I'm writing the first main part that's going to talk about everything I said yesterday, well, a lot of what I said yesterday, a lot of what I'm saying today, some of what I'm saying tomorrow in this book, right? Ancient history, information, science. I want to show people that this is a reality. This is what this book is. And then there's going to be 25 submissions from people like yourself, hopefully you, on their experiences with sound, your experience with sound. What have you been to a sound healing event? And did you have some sort of experience that you want to share? It doesn't have to be some crazy mystical experience. It could be like, I had a headache and it was gone. But if you could write 800 words on it, awesome. Did you go to an ancient site and chant some words and all of a sudden you had this experience? Did you see that happen? Did you go to a sound bed and somebody played the harp sound bed on you and all of a sudden you felt relaxed and what it did to you? And then, which a lot of people have that would be really exciting to share, is some type of healing or realignment that you might have experienced from this. A good example is that I was at an event in San Diego, a holistic expo, like 8 years ago, and we were doing like $5 suggested donation, 10-minute sound healings on people. We would sit them in a chair. There's 3 of us. We had 2 didgeridoos and a Tibetan bowl. Okay. And so people would just come, like we were there for 3 days. There's like thousands of people, and that's all we were doing. Right. And then telling them about PortalToAscension, but so it was just an information booth with the sound activation. So one lady came up and she had TMJ, which is lockjaw, right? She had lockjaw with like 11 out of 10 pain for around 10 years of her life, right? She couldn't even move her mouth that much. She like couldn't open her mouth too much. So we sat her down. Actually, we stood her up. And we played the didgeridoo on her heart and her face and the bowl behind her head. When she was done, 0 pain, completely gone. She could move her mouth. She was completely in awe of the experience. And she left us a testimonial. I think it's on our YouTube from like 8 years ago. But she left us a testimonial talking about, oh my God, I've had this pain for 10 years. I've never had any relief. Boom, right? Another individual that we did a sound healing event at my friend's house, right, in California. And this girl, there's only like 6 people or less than that even in the event. And while I'm playing the sound bowls and didgeridoo and everything, I can see this woman, she's like touching like her side, just right above her hip, like, you know, and just below her stomach. And she's like rubbing it. And I'm like, oh, that's interesting. So I was thinking she wasn't enjoying it, or maybe she was uncomfortable, right? She went home. We went home. She called my friend and she said, oh my God, I don't know what happened during the sound event, but I had lost my menstrual cycle for 2 years. And as soon as I left, it started again. And she could feel it aligning during the event, right? But here's the interesting part of it all. When we went, we were in a hurry to get out of the house. So we just grabbed a bunch of sound tools, tuning forks, didgeridoo, healing tubes, Tibetan bowls, crystal bowls, just grabbed a bunch, put it in a case and went, okay? And then when we got there, when we left and we came home and we looked at all the instruments we brought, every single bowl and every single instrument, including the didgeridoo, was the note D, okay, D. D is the sacral chakra, which is for the sexual organs. We literally accidentally, right? No accident there. We literally accidentally took only sacral chakra sexual healing organ instruments. It was like an epic like healing of not only, well, it also helps with sexual traumas, that frequency, right? But it's also just an alignment of the sacral chakra. So to us, that was a huge validation and confirmation, but it was very interesting that she had that really tangible experience. So getting back to this book, if you have any experiences that you want to share with us, please do. The website is pinned in the chat. The website is in the description. Go to it, read this, click for the submission guidelines if you want to submit, and then submit your story. And as I've been saying to people, I'm so passionate about this project right here that if you need your hands held a little bit in order to get this done, or even someone to remind you every week or two to like have you submitted your article, email me, PortalToAscension.org, contact me, and I'll definitely assist you with that, because this is my #1 priority right now, even though I have at least 100 different #1 priorities. So like, this is definitely a priority for me, and we have till December 31st to do it. Okay, so taking a look at the chat room. Seeing how you're all feeling. Tight deadline. Yeah, we have 5 people submitted so far. Okay. And so I have 20 more people to go. And I've been pushing it for a whole month, but I'll send the email out, and I'm pretty sure, we're going to get everybody in here. And we have a question here. Has Earth's magnetic field strengthened since the collective unity consciousness has also increased lately? Well, I don't have the tools to test that, and I haven't found anybody else that has tested that as well, but that would be very interesting to see, right? All right. So I'm going to get back into this now. Now, here is one of my favorite things to talk about is extraterrestrials and frequencies. And my 4-hour presentation on galactic origins, time travels, dimensions, and black holes has a whole 30 minutes on this. This is a brief introduction to it. You can check it out on YouTube. You can wait for my next one. I'm going to do an evolution of that presentation soon. But this is the whole thing, how everything is vibration, everything is frequency. In the beginning was the Word was God, and the Word was with God, right? The fact is that we came from vibration. The Laguna Pueblo native tribe says that the sound, the vibration, the universe sang the realm of the gods into existence. We even see evidence that before God, whatever God is to you, whether it's an individual, right? Or if it's a source, or if it's a collective energy, whatever it is to you, ancient texts, including Christian texts, right, still say that the word, the vibration existed before all things. But why does this connect to extraterrestrials? The question that a lot of people say, mainstream people, governments have said, non-believers of the ET question is, oh, well, if there are so many ETs, why don't they just show up on the White House lawn? Why don't they show us everywhere? Why don't they just show up right now, right? Why do they talk to our governments? Well, that's a side note on that. If you were an ET, a higher consciousness, would you want to interact with the governments that have exuded so much corruption and control, right? But the question is, why don't we see extraterrestrials around us everywhere, right? Why don't we do that? There are countless right? After 20 years of research on this, not just from UFO disclosure, whistleblowers, star seed awareness, spiritual information, channeling, so many, I've worked with at least 2,000 individuals and have watched hundreds of thousand hours of presentations and curated like 20,000 hours myself. A lot of it had to do with ancient history. A lot of it had to do with extraterrestrials. And through all of that, I've come to the understanding now. There are countless extraterrestrials and interdimensional beings interacting with our reality all the time. We do not see them because it's all vibration and frequency. If they'll phase out of frequency, if you exist between dimensions, if you exist in another dimension, if your vibration is even within this dimension, but at a frequency that we can't perceive, because we can only perceive a certain bandwidth of frequency with our eyes, our hearing, every sense has a certain bandwidth of frequency. When you do plant medicine, when you meditate, when you have kundalini activations or whatever else, whenever you do these things, you're able to get to a state where you can expand your frequency and start perceiving. There have been people who have done different substances, like let's say mushrooms, and they see UFOs in the sky. What's happening is your frequency is shifting and you're now at the vibration where you're able to perceive these otherworldly existences. Extraterrestrials and interdimensionals often vibrate at frequencies that are not perceivable to our senses. Meditation, high frequency activities can allow us to perceive other realities that are coexisting with us simultaneously. And why do we use radio waves to attempt to contact ETs? I used to think and wonder, radio waves are so ancient and archaic. We found it over 100 years ago now. Why are we still using radio waves to contact ETs, right? Wouldn't these ETs be at a much more advanced level and using some frequency that isn't so archaic? Well, here's the answer to that. Radio wave frequencies are one of the very limited frequencies that go through rock. They can pass through a planet. Other frequencies that we use aren't able to do that. So because they can pass through planets, asteroids, suns, stars, and debris, and any space that's in their way, it makes it the right type of frequency to utilize to contact extraterrestrials, to send it out to the universe to see if someone picks up our message. Radio waves are a form of electromagnetic radiation, and thus they move at the speed of light, which is another thing, right? The speed of light is a little less than 300,000 kilometers per second. Now, through the quantum world, which we're talking about today, we're now able to figure out, and we're at the beginning phases of understanding how we can send information instantaneously across to the other side of the universe. We've already done these experiments on Earth. This is approved. This is definitely the case. We have been able to pull data from space-time on the other side of the planet instantaneously without needing to actually transport it through radio waves or any other type of frequencies or signals. So we're now on the quantum world able to send messages instantaneously. And since the whole universe is made out of quantum world, therefore, does that mean that all information, all data is available in any point in time in the whole of our universe and beyond at any given moment? Well, it wouldn't be really incorrect to say yes, because it's been proven now that we're able to pull information. So is this the Akashic field? Is this the vibration that has all information always, that's always around us? I think it is. And actually tomorrow, everybody, on our YouTube channel, it will be Billy Carson for an hour-long presentation on the Akashic Records, our science reality. So tune back in tomorrow after my interview that I'm going to do with the person who I'm doing the sound book with. And Billy Carson is going to do a whole hour presentation to show you the science behind the Akashic Records. And so that the fact is that, what's it called? Non-locality, that's what it's called. Non-locality is the term that is used within quantum physics to show that you do not need to be at a certain place in order to be able to pull out data, that you can go somewhere else and get that same exact data from all the way at the other side of the galaxy, all the way at the other side of the universe. That is because all data is stored within this frequency that we exist within all the time. So it is assumed that extraterrestrial civilizations would use radio waves to contact us, or at least be listening to radio waves, just because of what I've just outlined right here. And will we start seeing extraterrestrials in our lifetime? We are shifting into another octave of existence, right? Yesterday, I spent a good amount of time at the end of the presentation talking about the yuga cycles. Check back yesterday's presentation on youtube.com/PortalToAscension. And if you want to get into that and look at that. So, and within that, I show the cycles of time, the devolutions and the evolutions that occur, and how time isn't linear, that we look at time from, the last, basically the last flood, right? Post-Diluvian and pre-Diluvian. And since then, we've had this linear progression of society. But if we go back before that, it looks like that there were more advanced civilizations than even we are right now. And we're only now rediscovering it. A lot of it's being swept under the rug because some archaeologists are in alignment with not coming out with this information. Other researchers and archaeologists don't want to lose their credibility in their career and be ridiculed. So when things come out that go against the standard conventional timeline, it's thrown under the rug because they rather continue with their jobs than be ridiculed and sent away, right? So that is the problem that we've been facing when it comes to a lot of this information coming out, that time isn't linear. Where I'm at right now in the Yucatan Peninsula, one of the most well-known civilizations that were into circular time and realized that time goes in cycles, the Maya. So will we see extraterrestrials in our lifetime? As I showed yesterday, we're going in an upturn in consciousness. We're going from one age to another. We ended the Kali Yuga around 1700 CE, and we took a 200-year phase into the age of energy, into the Dwapara Yuga, into the Bronze Age. And while we've been into that phase that we officially re-entered in 1900, we have now gone from an age of complete duality and separation into one where we're starting the process of reunification and integration of our multi-dimensional selves, right? So as we're going into that state, we most likely will start interacting with them. Plus, you know about the UFO disclosures happening, the government documents. I've done many presentations showing the government documents that prove that they even know about it and are interacting with these beings. So the question is, even though that we're at the beginning phases of understanding the quantum world, we're now seeing craft that has been told to everybody and even said by governments and other type of agencies to be doing things using technology that is doing what we're understanding in quantum theory. Let me say that again. The craft that we're observing, and this is what was said by Louis Elizondo and others as well, that it's not that these UFOs are doing something that isn't possible, because that's what they said at first, like just speeding at this speed at hardcore levels that aren't even possible, appearing and then disappearing. This is not possible. But then they readdressed this and said, well, it's not impossible. We're able to do these things in the lab on the subatomic level right now, and we know they're possible, but we're nowhere near. We probably have another 1,000 or a few hundred years at least to get to the point of what we're observing. So we're seeing craft do what we only know what to do in the lab on the subatomic level right now. So it's not impossible. We know it's possible, but we also know we're not quite there yet. So this disclosure, if and when it occurs, right, we're working towards it on PortalToAscension. So I would say when it occurs, and these technologies get released and the black budget programs are spoken of and the reverse engineering is spoken of, we can really take our level of consciousness to a new level, because we're able to do things with these technologies that if these UFOs weren't here and presenting themselves and interacting with us, would take us hundreds of more years of linear progression, right? So will we start seeing ETs interacting with us in our lifetime? Many cultures have prophesied different time periods for this shift. We are moving into a reality where the frequency on Earth will be less dense, allowing us to coexist with other realities. As the frequency harmonizes, just like I showed you with plant medicine, meditation, many different modalities that can help harmonize your frequency. When we start moving into, harmonizing our frequencies even more, and the density isn't so heavy anymore, we will start merging with these realities. And we are merging with these realities. And what is waiting for us in these other realities? A whole form of life, existence, beings, interdimensionals, extraterrestrials. So eventually allowing for a world where we can have open contact and communication with ETs. Will this happen in our lifetime? Well, it's up to us. Are we going to wake up as humanity? Are we going to focus on unity and connection? Are we going to work out the traumas that we have from our childhood, from our governments, and from our past lives? That I feel it's inevitable. Those are all signs of the age that we're in. We're in an age where we have no choice but to confront ourselves. Some people will probably hold out longer than others, but no matter what, the energy on earth is moving towards better assisting us in getting to this level of consciousness. So I am very hopeful that we will have open contact. And if you've checked out other things on Portal to Ascension, we worked with lots of people that have not only had contact in dream state, astral state, consciousness connection, but also physical, right? There's a lot of individuals, especially in South America, that have actually open contact and communication and interaction with ETs. Alex Collier, who's another speaker on our platform, has been on the craft from the Andromedas, right? So there's a lot of people interacting with them, but it's not happening on a mass level with a group of communities. It's going to happen as we start creating these communities that are specifically designed in order to work on our inner self so that we can be at the level of consciousness where we can have interaction with these beings, right? So individuals that are there right now are probably doing it. Your intention, also really working on yourself and also setting your intention, or even maybe having the soul agreement, a karmic agreement to have this interaction with them when you came down to earth. But then as we start creating these communities even more and more, and people start doing the inner work, that's what the external reflection will be a reality that we're able to have open contact and peace on earth. Because how are we going to move forward into a reality of an ascended world? People used to get really frustrated with me some people, not that many people, but some people will get frustrated with the whole term ascension because they thought that I meant escapism, ascension. But that's not what ascension is to me. Ascension is a reality, a world that can only be created once we do the inner work. And the only way you can get to this point is by literally working on yourself to the point that you're enjoying the present moment. And when we enjoy the present moment and are all there collectively, then the external reflection will be this world that we have open contact with ETs, we have peace on earth, the water is clear, the earth is harmonized, we're taking care of our own planet. So it's very paradoxical. There goes again the paradox. The only way we can create an ascended reality in the future is by working on the tools to be present and enjoy the now, and not being so reactory to our external reality, but looking at it from a place of neutrality and objective observation, not judging ourselves and others. So that's why meditation, spiritual practices, and everything are so important for the whole disclosure process. All right, so now we're going to the final stretch here, the future, the now. What is happening now? New studies are being released on an exponential level. New studies are being released on an exponential level every year that are discovering new ways to use sound and frequency in technology, healing, and other common uses. So besides all the ET stuff, all the UFO information, we're now discovering that we can actually use this technology, use this sound and vibrational awareness in order to basically create technology that can assist us. The secret space program, for example, the unacknowledged programs that different world governments are involved in are already using these technologies. Some technologies have been around for decades, such as the right frequency machine. Some of these technologies already exist. Tesla has a lot of great information in regards to vibration and frequency. We did a whole like a 2-3 hour presentation called The Lost Century. And that whole entire event was basically on how, because of Tesla basically being hijacked and shut up, that we lost a whole 100 years of evolution that would have really changed the face of the planet. Now, this isn't a bad thing. Everything happens exactly how it's supposed to be. He was definitely there in the beginning phases to drop the seeds. A lot of Tesla's awareness is actually taking hold now. But at the same time, if it didn't happen the way it happened, a lot of things would be different on the planet. And then there are other frequencies that we're already using, like ultrasound is already in use, right? We're utilizing multiple frequencies, many of them that we can't even perceive with our own eyes. Almost all of them, actually, we can't perceive, but we're still able to use them. Now, here is the last part of this presentation here. I'm going to go over just a few examples of what we're utilizing in regards to frequency that are new technologies that are the preliminary stages for some really advanced awareness to take hold of the planet in the years to come. For example, there's the data transfer revolution. Payments and finance, for example, are now shifting. Data over sound, giving data over sound can create a secure connection between a merchant and a customer. Phones for authentication. Sound can be used for facilitating secure transactions between phone to phone. So instead of a label, instead of a QR code, a sound frequency that carries the message for all types of industries. They're using it now, starting with travel and ticketing. That's one of them that is being utilized now. Being implemented a few years ago, they started doing this by Ticketmaster. A QR code can be scanned only one by one, and it is inconvenient, slow, and needs line of sight. These inefficiencies are even worse at mass transit venues such as airports. Sound ticketing is a solution to this and a game changer because there's no need of an additional hardware. A short, inaudible sound plays from your phone, granting you access. In marketing, most retail locations, and I'm just giving you a few industry examples because this is just showing you what we're capable of. A lot of these examples are old school, old paradigm that are going to completely change as we're moving into this age, but this is what we're capable of now. Most retail locations have pre-installed speakers that play music. The same speaker can be used to send data to the customer's phone without affecting the music, right? Underwater communication. Sound travels much faster in water and hence is an ideal candidate for underwater communication for submarines and underwater robotics. Michael Tellinger, who we have an event with tomorrow, he actually did experiments and worked with people where sound travels faster than light in water. Sound traveling faster than light in water, because what is sound? Sound is tapping into the quantum world, okay? And since sound is tapping into the quantum world is prevalent all the time, everywhere, in every moment. Whereas a light beam needs to be sent and travels at the distance of light in order to get to its destination. The sound is being used for underwater communication between submarines, underwater robot tens, to even hundreds of thousands of miles apart. Reforms in our internet connections are happening too. Did you know that our old school dial-up modems actually use sound to carry data? However, it was transferred over a wire rather than through the air. So this is important too, because we're surrounded by frequencies all the time. Many of them are disharmonic and actually affecting our emotional well-being, mental health in very negative ways. As we're evolving, we're able to realize and become more intentional with it and use frequencies that can do similar things or the same thing without actually affecting us in a negative way. Sound is a huge component to this new revolution. Morse code was even a form of sound data transferred in a single tone, but extremely slow. Here's how it works. One device translates a chunk of encrypted data into a sequence of sounds that can be decoded by another device. The receiving device processes the audio and converts it back to the original form. This is all happening now. Now, this one is interesting. Bilocation and teleportation. Are we able to do Star Trek, what Star Trek does, and go into a teleportation device, dematerialize, and then rematerialize somewhere else? Well, we've actually been able to do that with subatomic particles, but the subatomic particles is what makes up the world of particles. So theoretically, we should be able to do that. And the evidence of these craft seem to be doing things like that anyway. Quantum position shows evidence that waves occupy multiple places in space at once and have been demonstrated in small particles. As of 2019, scientists have been able to do the same thing with larger chunks of physical matter. Okay, this is important. We started doing this with subatomic particles. We're now able to do it with physical larger chunks of matter. Still so small that you can't even see it, but it's no longer subatomic, it's Newtonian now. A Newtonian particle existing in two places at the same time has been done. Physicists have scaled up their experiments demonstrating quantum superpositioning using larger and larger particles. Now, in a paper published September 23rd of 2019 in the journal Nature Physics, an international team of researchers have caused molecules made up of 2,000 atoms to occupy two places at the same time. 2,000 atoms, the exact same thing in two places at the same time. We're at the beginning phases of teleportation and bilocation. The particle was 25,000 times the mass of a single hydrogen atom, and at its start in the journey to discover how we can exist in two places at once. Some whistleblowers say advanced versions of this technology already exist. Go to PortalToAscension.org, sign up for our 10,000 hour archive, and check out some of the whistleblower testimony there, where they say that this is actually happening, and they talk about some of these technologies. There's one really good presentation on PortalToAscension that I'd recommend. It's called Inside the Black World by Michael Schratt. He is an aircraft historian that was let into a lot of awareness in regards to UFOs and the technology within the government. And he does a couple hours where he's talking about, it's on our YouTube too, actually, where he's literally talking about the technology that they're using and what they're reverse engineering with these craft. So this makes sense in regards to the theory that there are multiple forms of the self existing in parallel dimensions, right? That there are parallel realities and that we exist infinitely in all these parallel realities. So are we uncovering the deepest intricacies of how dimensions, the incarnation cycle, and dimensions work? That's what is really happening with this whole quantum revolution that is occurring. So as we're wrapping up this presentation, I'm going to show you now some technologies that are utilizing sound that we're at the beginning phases of, some probably even more advanced than what they're showing here. That just goes to show that there is a whole world of capabilities and possibilities with this awareness of sound and vibration. So this is actually a portable acoustic tractor beam, just like we see in sci-fi movies. And this is how to make it. You can go to the website and get all the instructions, but let's just look at what he's doing here. I'm going to fast forward it just a bit so we can get to when they're doing it. Here we go. Let's get a little more forward here. Okay, let's just go to this. All right, he's almost done. So you can see that in the beginning, we're doing these with small and smaller particles. They started with subatomic particles, just frequencies, right? Electrons, photons, and just subatomic world in general. And now we're able to do it with bigger things, 2,000 atoms. And now this is even a bigger item here in regards to being able to create a tractor beam. There we go. Boom. And then this one right here, I really, really wish that this just went and viral when it came out and that it was utilized, because we now know how to utilize sound to cancel the frequency of fire. Sound to cancel the frequency of fire. You know how much resources are wasted on firefighting when it comes to water and so much more, the amount of people that are needed, but it's already been done on the smaller level back in 2015 that we can actually use sound to cancel fire.
We're both graduating from the electrical and computer engineering department at George Mason University this coming May. We're here, we're just going to test out our device that we use that uses sound frequencies to extinguish flames.
I see this device being applied to a lot of things. First off, I think in the kitchen, it could be on top of a stovetop. But eventually, I'd like to see this applied to maybe swarm robotics, where it'd be attached to a drone, and that would be applied to forest fires or even building fires, where you wouldn't want to sacrifice human life.
Professor Brian Mark really stepped in to help us.
He just gave us a lot of support.
I think as a whole, engineering is really just finding solutions finding simple solutions to complicated problems. Engineering is all about finding a way to make the impossible possible. So that's what we did.
A lot of things have come out already and have been, let's say, have been swept under the rug or hijacked on some level because they go against the system that has been created for us, right? And then some of them are just in the preliminary phases and don't have the funding yet, right? We just did an event with Foster Gamble last week, and Foster has worked with multiple people and that are working on energy generating devices that can pull energy from space-time, giving us an abundant flow of energy all the time. And for a long time, there were people saying that, well, everybody's making these claims, but now it seems that there are more people that have spent some time and energy on these, and pretty soon, hopefully this comes out. But the reason why it doesn't is because the power structure, the money, the corruption, and if you want to think of the ultimate interdimensional agenda and all that stuff, really has not supported us being at a place to have these solutions to the issues of humanity. But as I said before, we're on the upturning consciousness, and now we're getting to a place where it's inevitable. It's going to come out. Rife frequency machine. Let's talk about medical uses, right? A Rife machine is a device that delivers a low energy electromagnetic frequency into the body, usually through the hands or the feet. Proponents claim that the device can cure, you'd read that right there because I don't want to say it for YouTube. Last time I said that, it hurt my channel, and other conditions such as that right there. There's been no scientific independent study available to the public to prove these claims. However, users have provided testimonials. Sound wave could be the future of biomedical research, diagnosing and treatment. According to the chemistry professor who is the data analysis is using acoustic device to separate extracellular vesicles to get a deeper look at their properties. So could this be the future and cures to diseases? We have, there's so many different ones. You look on YouTube to search it, sound frequencies and different sicknesses. There are a lot of great results happening in regards to utilizing sound to assist people. And if we're all vibration and our vibration is literally off and disharmonic, and that's why the sickness is being created, even inflammation, they say most, if not all, of sicknesses come from some sort of inflammation. Well, sound frequency has been really good at combating that. But it's not just the sound, it's also the lesson. A lot of times these sicknesses will come back after you've been healed, let's say, from the sound frequency, because you have not gained the lesson that you wanted. And a good example of that you needed, a good example of that is dealing with cancer and then it coming back even faster than it was before, because it's not just what you're doing physically to heal it, whether it's sound or chemo or whatever you're doing, right? It's also why you got that sickness in the first place, the lesson that it has for you. A lot of times sicknesses and diseases appear because there's been something that's been nagging at your consciousness for so long that you weren't addressing, and then all of a sudden it manifests into physical form. So therapy, if you will, and sound frequency combined could lead us into a world of harmony in which many of the sicknesses that we currently have on the planet will no longer be here. And just to add to that, there's a book called Earthing. There's a documentary called Earthing too. Check it out. I think it's on Amazon Prime, I think. But in this, they show that when you take your shoes and socks off and you connect to the earth and the natural frequency of earth, that your body has an alkalizing effect, inflammation goes down, all types of sicknesses go into remission. If you do that like over 15 minutes daily for however long it takes, right? So what they're realizing is that the earth has a natural frequency that keeps us aligned and harmonic. However, since the Industrial Revolution, especially over the last 120 years or so, we've disconnected ourselves from the earth. We created buildings, we created high rises, we created socks, shoes that don't connect us to the earth. We created cars, carpets. We've disconnected so much from the natural frequency of the planet that we're no longer getting the frequencies that keep us healed and aligned, right? So forget, but don't forget of all what I'm saying right here, which is like sound frequency can assist us in the future. But let's just say that the fact that we've disconnected ourselves from the natural frequency of the earth has led to an exponential increases of diseases. I don't know if you've ever thought about this, but over the last 100 years, look at the exponential nature of sicknesses that have come onto this planet. Sicknesses that we never had before, right? And before this, we had a lot of sicknesses based on lack of hygiene, right? That occurred. And then in the ancient past, we have no records of what sicknesses they had, and maybe in higher consciousness levels, if that is the case, there wasn't sickness. And as we're going into this upturn again, we need to reconnect to the earth, reconnect to the natural frequency of the earth, and also be open to the fact that these vibrations can affect us because we're vibratory beings. What you listen to, what you eat, all of these elements are frequencies. The frequencies get integrated into your body. What happens to the food that you eat? It becomes energy. What is energy? It's a frequency. What does the frequency do to you? It either helps you harmoniously, or it helps you in a disempowered, it doesn't assist you and it disempowers you, right? This one here is, I'm not gonna show this one because YouTube, right? And I'm not gonna say more on that, but this is a good video, and search this out. You see the title right there on YouTube if you want, but this is sound waves to fight the C word, right? So using sound waves to fight this is actually happening and been proven, but not utilized or given enough research. A lot of the people that do these are independent researchers. Some of the people that do these studies are crowdfunding for it. Why? There's evidence suggests that it can help you. The evidence suggests that it's something to look into, but the reason why they don't do it is because there's no money for them in it. Plus, as a lot of us probably know, that there's a huge amount of money in not preventative medicine, but sustaining people's illnesses and keeping them sick rather than actually getting rid of the whole problem in the first place. And that's what we're seeing with sound being used in the medical field, is that it can actually go to the root and definitely assist. And here is another one, using sound wave to destroy this word here. And I'll show you a little bit of this actually.
Body to those tissues, creating an energy field. The target, in this case, a tumor in the liver. Sound energy passes through the body to those tissues, creating an energy field that creates bubbles then. And the expansion and collapse of those bubbles is what mechanically then fractionates those tissues. Now, other therapeutic ultrasound generates vibration that then creates heat to destroy those tissues, which could then potentially damage other tissues nearby, not targeted because of thermal spread. With histotripsy, that pulsing is provided in very, very short pulses that allows then a mechanical force, and so that the range of destruction of that tissue can be precisely controlled and monitored in real time. The tissue then gets naturally absorbed in the body after the treatment, and then natural healthy cells can regrow.
So with sound, we're able to send specific sound frequencies to specific areas, reducing the possibility of damage to the surrounding cells. When it comes to this global pandemic sickness, right? When it comes to this, and specifically, a lot of people lose their immune responses and other issues because there's damage created to the surrounding area that was not even, sick in the first place. So with sound now, not only for this specific case, we're able to target certain areas and eliminate the sickness in a very specific, focused way. Biomedical engineers at Johns Hopkins University have discovered a way to release and deliver concentrated amounts of a drug to the brain of rats in a temporary, localized manner, specific area, utilizing ultrasound. The method cages a drug. So if they have something that they need to put in the brain, but they can't reach it, the sound encompasses this. And then it goes to the specific area and then activates its release through precisely targeted sound waves, such as those created images of internal organs. And one such case is Parkinson's, that they're able to do that with. Sound waves in the brain. Over the past 2 years, scientists have begun experimenting with low frequency and low intensity ultrasound that can penetrate the skull and activate or silence brain cells. Researchers hope that the technology could provide an alternative to more invasive techniques such as deep brain stimulation and vagus nerve stimulation, which are used to treat a growing number of neurological disorders. The nerve is responsible for certain sensory activities and motor information for movement within the body. It is part of a circuit that links neck, heart, and lungs and the abdomen all to the brain. The vagus nerve inflammation is the root of many diseases. And now utilizing sound frequency, we can bring harmony to that too. And I don't know if you noticed, but I put the date in front of most of these, right? 2009, 2017, 2016, 2015, 2016. The reason why I put the date, why haven't we heard anything from it afterwards? Some of these, like the 2009 one, that's like what, 11 years ago, 12 years ago. Why haven't we heard anything from them? Things began, things started, things were underway, some were created. Why isn't it utilized in the world anymore? I'm not going to get into conspiracies right now, but you get where I'm going with that, hopefully. And this one right here is a long video, so I'm not going to show it. But this video right here is basically utilizing ultrasound, right? So the whole thing with Parkinson's is that it's difficult to treat it or observe what's going on because it's the decay is happening in a part of the brain that is really hard to get to or even observe or even like scan. Okay. So they've been unable to really give people assistance and heal them when it comes to this. But now, and this is 2016. First of all, Ireland came out with something 2 years ago that was a breakthrough in Parkinson's. Why do we still say Parkinson's is not curable? Nobody can, basically it's inevitable. You just need to go to the doctor and be given medication until you phase out. That's pretty much the consensus on it. But in 2016, they discovered that they could send an ultrasound frequency to the part of the brain that's being affected, and they can do something to that part of the brain that will stop the tremors. Stop your tremors. That's what this video is here. Again, if you want to take a look at it, search ultrasound treatment stops Parkinson's tremor on YouTube and you'll find it. And so my dad actually has Parkinson's and he's had it for like 5 years and he's going really mainstream with it all, right? And so I did a lot of research on the different cures and everything, but he doesn't want to really listen to it because he wants to go with the mainstream of what they're saying. So firstly, that's been difficult for me to even like acknowledge that I'm coming across all this awareness that can assist. And then secondly, he won't be open to it. But then also, they have now discovered so many ways to lessen the issues that you have if you have Parkinson's. And one of them is using sound frequency. So what does the future hold for us? What does this world that we're now manifesting and creating and going through the growing pains to get to really look like? Well, there's a possibility for cures of illnesses and disease on a wide scale. this ability for technology to transport physical matter and other parts, matter to other parts of Earth and space, not just from one place to another place, just like that, but also within space. Traveling faster than the speed of light, bending space-time, right? There's already been theoretical craft that we've been seeing on mainstream outlets. And then there's actual craft that we're seeing in our skies that even the news is reporting on now doing this. Reaching altered states of consciousness and gaining otherworldly experiences. Now, refer back to the ancient Egyptian temples and the frequencies in there and how they all came out to the note A of the third eye, which probably has something to do with DMT excretion and was most likely designed for them to get to an altered state of consciousness. So using sound frequency awareness can get us back to this level where we're able to have this connection. Not have this connection, but remember our connection, you know? Communicating with extraterrestrials to interdimensional beings and through the quantum world, transferring data instantaneously across the galaxy and the universe, kind of like our own version of the Akashic records. New advanced forms of transportation, harnessing energy from the vacuum, free energy devices. Major funding to these projects have been scarce until now. A lot of governments, scientific organizations from the governments, there's been no funding for them. As I said before, crowdfunding and personal funding is the way a lot of these technologies that I showed you and thousands of more have really come to fruition, right? So a lot of them, if they don't have the funding for it, they can't continue the work. So the energy of whatever we're utilizing to fund this needs to be directed towards these projects. We can live in a world with free energy and sustainable energy. We can have conscious and intentional music. As we realize how frequencies affect us, we can make sure that we create the frequencies in our music that creates harmony within us rather than disruption. A revolutionary understanding of our universe and the nature of reality. We can redefine how we conduct ourselves between nations and socioeconomically. An intricate understanding we can gain of what it means to be a human living within our physical bodies. The applications of sound and vibration awareness are literally infinite because all things in infinite creation are vibration. In the near future, we will see a complete transformation of our planet if we continue down the trajectory we're on. We're on that path. We might see a lot of chaos in the world, but it's coming and it's coming out slowly. And it's up to us to accelerate it to whatever speed we want it to be at, but it's inevitable. Special interests, corporations, corrupt governments would have us stay in a reality that they can control, right? However, the science does not lie. And with so many independent inventions and discoveries, it is really only a matter of time. Time to fund these technologies with our energy, with our support, with our fun, whatever it is, right? To reroute the money to creating a sustainable future. And just to talk about PortalToAscension real quick, all the events we do, 60 to 70%, depending on the event and who we're working with, goes towards the speakers. And I've worked with probably up to 2,000, but I say like over 1,500 speakers at this point, presenters, authors, yogis, spiritualists, scientists, archaeologists, quantum physicists, more and more than that, right? And what is happening is through our organization and through the people attending our events, we're able to fund hundreds of different projects. So we're coming up with very unique and innovative ways in order to make sure that these people can continue their work so that we can continue moving forward in this trajectory of not just utilizing sound and frequency, but creating a planet that works for all of us and being in peace, true like universal peace and true harmony. And that's what it's really all about. And here is just to show you that what I'm saying about the inevitability is true. This is the graph of technology evolution since the 1400s, right? And the exponential nature. So look at how like linearly and kind of slow we were going. First, 1400 to 1600, and we go to the steam engine. And then when we get to the telephone, the light bulb starts picking up a little bit. But when the telephone comes in, we start going a little higher. But then when the 1900s hit, at the beginning of the energy age, right at the beginning of the Dwapara Yuga, Boom. Look at that. The exponential nature. So this graph pretty much outlines how we're evolving, right? If we continue down this evolution of technology, it's going to get to that level no matter what. But the one thing that really needs to happen is that we need to match our consciousness to the technology we're creating, right? Because the consciousness, that's why the inner work is so important. That's why we need to like work out our traumas, connect with each other, not be so reactory, not judge ourselves and other people, and truly love ourselves and truly love others, like true unconditional love, that we can actually be the caretakers of this planet and create this technology and utilize it in a conscious way. Why are people afraid of AI, right? And transhumanism? Well, the consciousness of humanity is not at a level where we're going to be utilizing that technology in a conscious way, right? So we need to do more inner work so that we don't have these emotional traumas and triggers that have us use the technology that is inevitably being created in a way that isn't really good for all of us. And as I said, and I'll say it again, the real questions: how do we use these technologies consciously? We can create a world without war, without poverty, without hatred, and without the separation consciousness. The use of sound and frequency can assist with that. But what must we do? We must awaken in consciousness. It's the only solution. The only solution is to awaken. All right. And that's it, everybody. Yeah, that's it. All right. So let's thank you all so much for tuning into this. I'm going to share a couple of more things before we close out here, but let's go ahead and get some interaction in the chat here and take a look at what you're all saying. All right. We're having a comment here. The pyramids are sound technology for the earth because it's supposed to be higher than 432. Something can't remember, hence Earth's wobble. Yep, and another comment here. We rise up in consciousness as a whole. We can literally speed up Earth and correct the wobble, but that's super highly evolved civilization, maybe stronger than Atlantis. Yeah, and that's true too. Like there's a lot of evidence to show that we used to be at a straight axis and seasons were equal, and then we're actually going back there. And there was an earthquake that happened in Chile a few years ago, and scientific studies said that it actually shifted the Earth's axis to go straighter towards a straight axis, and little things are happening like that. So some people think it's going to be a huge pole shift, boom. And then some people think that it's going to happen over time, like small little things will happen on Earth. And then we get to the point where we're back in a straight axis. And when we're back in a straight axis, the seasons are the same, weather balances out, and we get to a level where we can create and harmonize a certain level of consciousness on the planet. All right, so keep the comments coming here while I show you the thing that I've been showing you multiple times. One more time here, just to do a call out for anybody that wants to submit their stories. Pinned in YouTube, and then also in the description of this video, we have the link to this website. If you want to be a part of the book that I am creating on sound and vibration, which is this one all the way to the right here, provide your experience in sound. Did you chant before and have some experience? Write about it. Did you go to ancient site and have some experience with sound? Write about it. Did you create your own music? Did you go to a sound healing event and something happened? Did you go to a gong bath and then something occurred there? So any of those things or more, anything that you can share in regards to your experience with sound frequency, because everything is sound frequency. You know, it's a very loose term when it comes to me when I explain the word sound, because everything is vibration. And if you can give me a story on vibration, then be a part of the book, and thousands of people are going to get to see your story. And here is just the video of me inviting you one more time. Then I'm going to take a look at the comments, do a poem, and then we'll be done for today. Hi, everybody. My name is Neil Gore, and I'm going to be the featured author in the upcoming book on sound. I'm extremely excited about this book. We're going to be dissecting and going deep into the realm and the vibration of the universe and the cosmos and all that is. And I want to know if you have a story that you want to share in regards to sound, in relation to sound. Did you have a mystical experience through vibration that assisted you in some sort of way? Did you ever visit an ancient site or a temple and experience sound and harmonics firsthand? So how has sound affected you? So this right here is an invitation for you to please do share your stories so that we can create this amazing book on sound, and not only create a fully encompassing book on what sound and vibration is, but go into what the experience is on the individual level. 800 to 2200 words. So as low as 800, as much as 2200. Again, link is in the description, link is in the comments. Go ahead and click it, bookmark it, email me, ask me if you have any questions, okay? All right, so how are you all feeling? Let's take a look how you are. Yes, okay, metaverse. Please click on that link and either bookmark the link and do it later, or just start writing right now, but just go ahead and submit your story. We have 5 people submitted. I need 20 more people to submit their stories so I can publish the book. And December 31st is the end of it all. Okay, is when we're gonna take it to publication. And again, tomorrow I'll be live with Ariel from Sacred Stories. So the lady that is actually the founder of the publishing company that I'm gonna have the book on. Me and her and myself will be on YouTube tomorrow. I forget the timing, but you'll see it come in your notifications. You can click subscribe, click the notification bell if you want to, get some more information on that. And we're going to be doing a 30-minute interview. I'll be talking about everything I just went over, summarizing it all, but then we're going to talk about the book and her intention and why we're doing this in the first place. So check that out tomorrow. And here is, okay, cool. Autumn's going to submit the link. Yes, yes. And then after that, Billy Carson will be live on our channel with the Akashic Records, A Science Reality, which is a perfect contribution to this. And then on Sunday, Laura Eisenhower is going to be live here, and then every other day. I just realized I have a great opportunity to ask you guys a question. I've been wondering, should we go live every single day on the YouTube? Would it be easier for you, and would you like it better if we went live every other day? Or is every day fine with you? I'm curious to know, because a lot of channels, they don't put out their content every single day, they have like 3 a week, they have every other day, but I'm putting out a lot of content every single day. And I just want to see what the community says, and if I should do it every day or if I should do something every other day with all the speakers. So waiting for some responses here in the chat. Every day. Okay. Awesome. Okay. I think we have a consensus every day. All right. I just wanted to make sure that it's able to be viewed by everybody, because I want as many people to really like listen and tune into what we're sharing here, because it's so much awareness. And I didn't know if it was overwhelming people with all the awareness, or if it was just like, let's just keep it going, So what I've heard from all of you, I'll definitely go ahead and continue that every single day. Well, I work with so many speakers, Autumn. It's not overwhelming because it's not just me. There's hundreds of other speakers that come on the platform. All right, cool. Thank you, guys. That was so awesome. I love having real-time statistics like that. Let's do some poetry, shall we? I'm gonna screen share these poems. We're gonna do The Traveler, Hybrid Polarity, and then maybe I'll do one off the top of my head. So again, everybody, thank you all so much for tuning in today and or yesterday. Hope you really got some great insight from this all. Check it out. Check us out on PortalToAscension. If you want to support us, the best thing you can do, right? Obviously, subscribe to the channel would be cool. But the most amazing thing you can do is go to PortalToAscension.org. and put your email address in there, sign up to a newsletter. You'll get a username and password, and you'll get access to 3,000 hours of free presentations, which is many more hours than we even have on our YouTube. Okay, so there's a lot of awareness there, and that way you can stay connected. We can share our, our webinars, workshops, conferences. In October of next year, October 7th, 8th, and 9th, we're going to be back to live events, and we're doing the 6th annual Portal to Ascension conference, which is going to take place in San Diego. Foster Gamble, Adam Apollo, JJ Hertak, Alan Steinfeld, many other people that I'll be releasing pretty soon and let you know once it's all finalized. We'll be there, and it'll be a celebration of life. After all the craziness that's been happening in the world, it's time to get together in person and connect. And not only will we be streaming it online, so you'll get to see that too if you can't make it, but if you're there, we're just going to have a really deep connection with everybody, and there's going to be a lot of love shared, and not to forget hardcore, amazing, epic wisdom and information that is paradigm shifting. Okay, so here we go. The Traveler. I am the resurrected one. Many times faced incarnation, simultaneously happening the desolation, sun explosion, implosion, creating rips in space and time. For me to travel with the universal mind into planetary systems vaster than the galactic kind, where the laws of physics no longer apply, where the energetic beings reside, going faster than the speed of light, mass increases into infinity, omnipresence of my energy, one with the celestial melody, harmoniously find the frequencies that are hidden from sight. I left the density of struggle, resistance, and fight. The lessons have been learned, so it's time to climb up the dimensional ladder onto the next multiversal ride as a quasi-physical being, half flesh and half light. The metaphysical, metaphorical, quantum theoretical truth of mankind, full disclosure of the cosmic kind. Resurrect the Christ consciousness, let the bliss flow, and undergo the transition into the fifth world, prophesied to be the end of human karmic woe and the duality of friends and foes. Know this, we're about to shift the human consciousness into the dimension that is next. Allow the vortex to appear where people start to disappear, melt and dissolve the fear. The time is near for the revolution of consciousness to steer us into the galactic arms of the Milky Way, swim into the ether with abundance to the universe. We pray. Eradicating the lack mentality, creating technology holistically that has never been seen through alchemy. Order is the result of anarchy, throwing off your center of gravity only temporarily during the ascension of our galaxy and all sentient beings. And all sentient beings. And all sentient beings. Hybrid polarity. You know, I hear Gaia crying, only dying to be reborn again, realizing there is no separation. The Illuminati government is our own projection. So why are you tripping? Protesting and rejecting is only self-hating. We are the sons of men, goddess of Zen, sons of God, call me Zeus. Here now to choose linearity, ends of calendars let loose. Time is fluid from the beginning of creation taught by the ancient druids. Shamanistic, ritualistic, prolific, sickest lyricist, Atlantean crystal buried in the West, Lemurian tablets, Mount Shasta light worker fanatics, delusional normality, where we only believe what we see. Tap into the fifth dimensional frequency, existing in multiple dimensional realities, manifesting in planetary systems to teach a journey through the darkness, taking us to the peak of duality, so we can once again see clearly. Remember who we truly be. Multifaceted beings. Soul freeing. The pyramids will start to spin, disintegrate the word sin, wrap my crystals with copper and tin, conduct electricity electromagnetically traveling astrally through the macabre, speed up my aura to 3/4 the speed of light to enter simultaneous time, make the unconscious believe this, glasses on my eyes to see the transit of Venus, solar flare, sun gaze, decalcify my third eye, and enter the maze. Vibrationally raised, there are many pathways to the same place. Source clears this illusionary haze. This is the end of days and the beginning of a new unconditional phase. This is the end of days and the beginning of a new unconditional phase. Final poem as we close out for today. Love you all so incredibly much. Oh yeah, by the way, if any of you want to join our Telegram, go into the description right now in any of the videos on YouTube on Alan Stanfield New Realities, on PortalToAscension, and click. Oh, actually, our Telegram's not there. I'm going to put my Telegram right now. We have a Telegram chat going on where you could stay even more connected to PortalToAscension. Here you go. If you all want to be a part of it, there is the link. And I'm just going to say thank you all. Love you all so much. Here's the last poem for today, and then we're closing out. Some of you may have heard this one before. The journey goes on for generations. The travelers will disperse the light amongst all the willingly incarnated souls. But what of the ones that didn't know? Amnesia of the internal endowment to reserve a place in the fifth dimension for themselves. The ego took control, and a better life they shall never know. I welcome you, dark one, into the lap of luxury, followed by pain and woes. We all sold our souls to the devil, but the devil exists not. Negative energy we dub as evil creates the demons of whom we are fearful. Take the D from the demon, put it in front of the word evil. Now you have a personified devil. Our thoughts and experiences create this creature, only exists in the mind. Our desires and wants creates this full feature ego that keeps the lower souls from reaching to divine. Intellect, love, and a perfect understanding we will have with one another. I welcome you, my brother, my sister, my lover, to become one, to help me become one, before reality tears me from duality and back into ether's imagination. You see, I'm the ghost of lives past. Generations have descended to gain these experiences, and I pray the human situation is critical, mind analytical, won't let me forget the fall of angels and demons into this third dimensional world. Is this planet yours? May I hide amongst the lost souls? Hide out for a bit, drink some liquor, smoke some weed, and step outside for a cigarette? Yeah, sure. Here's a social security card. You may live. Reincarnated to a kid to live and give back to the society when I'm locked in borders, I smolder, but through the ashes comes a horde of abstract thought. Who is not a ghost, a spirit, but just is an enlightened individual. Equality minus the elitist political goal, the cynical flow, the pain and woes and shamanistic pagan rituals. We will resurrect the Messiah in all of us. It's time to trust our brothers and sisters. Unity of mind, consciousness, awareness on the rise. The yin-yang, intertwined, masculine, feminine, lovers intertwined. Spit words from the chakra points in my spine. Relentless, but still find. Inner peace hopes down the pace of my corrupted mind. Chemtrails, aspartame, fluoride, kept my awareness fried. Getting drunk and high to block the consequence of why am I really here? But now I know is to help humanity steer into the right direction. For every single one of you, I feel affection. We're in the same situation. So erase the awkward moments, trying to walk around and get that bonus. Remember, the Adronis, Arcturians, will be one of the group of interdimensional beings in the near future through mass landings will help us souls really breathe. So raise your frequency if this is what you want to see. And don't try to break free from the shackles of captivity that we formed in our own mentality. Because you and I, we are, and we've always been free. Thank you all so much for being here today. Love you. Have a beautiful rest of your day, and check you tomorrow. Come check us out, PortalToAscension tomorrow, going live every single day. And after you guys gave me the confirmation, the validation that we should go live every day, definitely going to keep it going like that too. So have a beautiful evening, everybody. Take care. Bye-bye.